Welcome to the Longevity Lab. I'm Dr. Jae Hitson, and today we are tackling a critical question. Are you as healthy as you think you are? I see it all the time. People who feel fine, but the lab work tells a very different story. The truth is, your body does give you warning signs, but most of us have been just trained to ignore them until it's too late. In this episode, I'll break down the key red flags: fatigue, hair thinning, joint pain, stubborn weight gain, and a whole lot more. All of these signal hidden health issues. I'll also reveal why standard checkups miss so much and how expanded blood testing can help you catch these problems before they ever become serious issues. If you want real vitality instead of just getting by, this episode is for you. Let's dive in, because knowing the truth could save your life. Hello and welcome. This is the Longevity Lab, and I am your host, Dr. Jae Hitson. Today, I am taking a step from my regular scheduled program. I had an itinerary of what I wanted to talk about this week, and it got sidelined. And because here is something that happens to me on a daily, definitely a weekly basis. I run into an individual who, in their history, whenever we're starting our workup, they're like, yeah, I'm, for the most part, pretty healthy, just kind of want to get my numbers checked. And then when we go and we look at their labs, it is an absolute disaster. And the question is how in the world can somebody be in such a deteriorated state and have no idea that this is going on? And see, the body does give us clues. And that is what I need to get into today, because there is someone who's going to be listening to this, whether it's today, tomorrow, or 10 years from now. And this is not only going to save you a lot of time and a lot of heartache and a lot of extra expense. I mean, it's going to save your life. If you know how to define, am I healthy? Am I really okay? So let me start off with, a lot of people are very, very concerned about, like, I feel healthy, but am I healthy? Is there something going on under the surface that I don't know about? There's those horror stories of that person who is ultra fit and eats perfect and then they're out just for a quick jog and then boom, they drop dead of a heart attack. Or, that person who's like the picture of health. And one day they just go in for a regular screening and oof, they have cancer. I think those are some of the things that really, keep a lot of us up at night, is wondering about those types of things. Can I just tell you, in my experience, that is so exceedingly rare that somebody has no signs. That this person did an expanded blood work, not just the CBC, not just your normal annual physical. The annual physical misses a lot. I'm just going to tell you that right now. I think most of you probably already realize that that is a very, very compact blood panel. Anybody who's getting expanded, a comprehensive blood work on an annual basis and is just aware of the signs, it is extremely, extremely rare. So extremely rare, I've actually never seen it. In thousands and thousands and thousands of cases, I have never seen somebody who had nothing on the radar whatsoever, and then ended up with a chronic condition. So let's get into, what do you need to be looking out for? What are the key warning signs that your body is giving you? And then furthermore, what are the key diagnostic markers that you just want to stay on top of? I'm going to take one caveat here. There are a lot of individuals who are afraid. They are afraid to get their blood work done. They're afraid of what it's going to tell them. Can I just tell you that I get that a lot, but if you work with a practitioner who understands on how to reverse disease processes, even serious ones, even big problems can have simple solutions. Don't be afraid. You would be shocked by how disastrous. I mean, I've got a panel here in front of me, and this is a disaster. So just for those of you who happen to be watching this on the YouTube channels and where you can see the video, whenever we go through panels, we go through and we color code them. So the color coding is really simple. It's to make it easier for somebody who's not used to looking at blood work, able to see where the problems are. So when you saw that brief glimpse there, and if you go to my website, you can see an example of what our revised panels look like. They're the same numbers, just color coded. White, you're in the clear. Those are great numbers. So that's where you're absolutely perfect. So if your numbers are white, you're great. Yellow is all about prevention. So yellow numbers are all about, like, this is where you need to modify your diet, your lifestyle. This is where your body's just asking for something. And it's not that your numbers aren't normal. They are normal, but they're not healthy. They're not ideal. So, and here's the thing is, very rarely do your numbers go from completely like in the clear to disaster, overnight. That's extremely rare. Most of the time people go through a progression where they were in the clear, now they're kind of yellow, and if you do nothing about it, then they go red. Now, red's like red flag. Red is abnormal. Red's going to show up on your LabCorp request, as bold. You're out of range. Now, what we do is a lot of times with reds, we're going to have to use some kind of like supplementation or something, or, some kind of nutraceutical, or some other kind of intervention. It's hard to eat your way back from the red. It can be done, but it's just tough. So we usually have to get, like, again, something a little bit more potent to get reds under control. And then blue is like code blue. Blue is like an emergency. And then we have to just kind of discuss what that means based on the individual. My whole point is that it is extremely rare for you go to straight from clear to code blue overnight. It almost all chronic conditions kind of follow a basic trajectory. Are there things that do? Sure, but it's pretty rare. It's not the things that, and let me just tell you, those are the things that aren't keeping you up at night. So when we are seeing this progression, there are a lot of individuals who start actually having some of the first sign symptoms in yellow. I mean, they're already showing, just being that little bit off, their body's already like, hey, can we fix this? Your body is incredibly intelligent, and it sends you the warning signs. I like to call them distress signals. It sends you these signals of like, oh, something's off. We want you to address it. But in today's ultra busy, world where we don't have a lot of time for just breathing and just listening to our bodies and just, being even aware of what's going on. We just miss the signals. We miss the signs. So let me go ahead and dive into what are those key warning signs that you can pay attention to, and it will, and probably already have gotten your attention. To understand the warning signs, this is a basic premise. The body will always prioritize essential functions over non-essential functions. It makes sense. Your body is going to give all the resources, all your nutrients, all your minerals are going to go to things that are essential. And then if there's enough left, then the non-essential things will get fed. So essential. Your lungs, pretty essential. Your heart, very, very essential. Your brain, your nervous system, kidneys, liver, those are at the top of the essential food chain. So what's at the bottom of the food chain? Your skin, your hair, your nails, and your joints. So skin, hair, nails, and joints. So let's talk about hair. It takes a lot of minerals to have a full, healthy head of hair. Simple. And one of the things that people notice when they get sick, when there isn't enough, when they're fighting something off, when their body is needing a lot of resources for their immune system or another system, they'll notice changes in their hair. Especially women will notice that their hair is just like falling out. Like they go, with the washing their hair in the shower, and they just have like fistfuls, clumps of hair that they never had before. They'll notice their hair is just, it's not the same texture. It's thinner. It's thinner than what it was before. They just notice it. Like women again will even notice like it's like even getting patchy. And you've seen this whenever you've seen people who are severely malnourished. Like when you look at pictures of people who are severely malnourished, you'll see that they have like patches of hair loss and missing. Now, is there genetic components to why somebody could be losing their hair early? Absolutely, there are genetic factors, and that goes for men and women. But it's just something to be noticing is hair. Whenever the hair is falling out, thinning, though, that's a very obvious warning sign. And what a lot of people do is they start going and they start getting different shampoos and they start taking some, different supplements for their hair. They start trying to deal with the hair instead of dealing with the deficiency that's within that is creating the problem with the hair. And that's one of the things that you're going to find is like simply taking that, that ultra gummy that is for your hair. You're noticing, okay, a little bit of improvement, but no, it's still happening. That's because there's something way deeper, way more serious going on. And that's where we need to dive a lot deeper as to why doesn't your body have enough minerals to make hair? Nails, your fingernails, same thing. It takes a lot of minerals. It takes a lot of nutrients to have thick, long, healthy looking nails. And a lot of us are familiar with, and it's even like diagnostic criteria to like look at the nails and look at like ridging and spots and all of that. And you could, even in the medical community, they are even trained. They don't do it anymore, but because they don't have time. But in a good physical diagnosis, they will make women take off nail polish so that you can see the health of the natural nail. Because again, all the spots, all the ridges, all of that, every bit of that says something. Now, unfortunately, there's no pharmaceutical that makes nails grow better or fix white spots under your nail beds. So a lot of that's just kind of been abandoned. Anyway, we'll get into that another day, another topic. But yes, the nails are a sign. So if you notice that your nails are discolored, they're ridging, they're brittle, they won't grow, that's all a sign. Something deeper, something's going on below the surface. Skin, we just notice it. And this one's pretty, like we always talk about how, that person, they look gray. Their skin has the wrong color. They don't have that glow. We know this, and your skin is the largest organ in your body, so it makes sense that your skin would require a ton of nutrients to be healthy and glowing, and so yes, of course, you'll see all kinds of skin abnormalities, from discolorations to sometimes weird rashes to and it really goes the gamut. One of the biggest things that I see, because most of the people I work with are, getting into their 40s, 50s, so they just look like they're aging. They just aged quickly, because the skin doesn't have enough minerals and nutrients to keep up with the regenerative process. So they start to have more of this just lack of youthfulness look that they maybe had months or even just a short while ago. So the skin. Now, the last one, so we talked about skin, hair, nails, and then your joints. Now, I know this one is a hard one to swallow, but your joints are non-essential. So when we are talking about your joints are a mineral-rich resource. There is so much good collagen and calcium and magnesium. There's so much good resources in those joints of yours. And as we know, amputees, you can live without a limb. And that is a viability, not one we want to live with. But so people who are starting to experience extreme aches and pains, I want to be clear. Now, we're not necessarily talking, I'm not talking about, that injury that you tore your knee up, 10 years ago, and it's giving you problems. More so right now in this context, I'm more so talking about the people who have just I just kind of hurt all over. Like And they like, yeah, it's like the shoulder, but then like the next day it'll be this hip. And then, gosh, maybe like over here. And then, most of these people, they've tried physical therapy, they've tried massage therapy, they probably have been to the chiropractor, they've been around the block, and they've been to the orthopedic surgeon, and the orthopedic surgeon even says, yeah, you got some arthritis, but and you're not really ready for a replacement just yet, or let's hold off, on that, or you just don't want the surgery. So, you're kind of fitting into this, what I call diffuse. It's like there's nothing like totally specific. There's not like one specific injury. Or you find that you easily get injured and like there's just not enough juice to repair anymore, like little things, and you're like really, really hurting. It's you just know that this isn't like normal aging. Like you just shouldn't hurt like this. That is a sign that there is something deeper going on. There's a deficiency happening. This deficiency is leaving you without enough resources to rebuild and repair all the material in your joints. Now, here's another one. So we see your skin, hair, nails, and joints. Fatigue. Now this is just fatigue is part of a myriad of differential diagnoses. So when we say fatigue, and if you go to your doctor's office and you say, I'm just tired all the time, internally, they're probably groaning because there are 1,001 things that could be causing your fatigue. And so a lot of times, and a lot of doctors just, they just don't, I mean, in the 5 to 7 minutes that their insurance company is giving them to talk to you, they just don't have it. They just do not have that kind of time to go through the history. And I mean, and even they can't even run that many tests. I mean, it's just not allowed, without more to back it up. So fatigue, fatigue makes sense as to if there's something going on. There's something deep intrinsically happening. When you're sick with a cold, when you're sick with the flu, what does your body do? Well, you get tired. You just want to go lay down. All right. And why does your body just want you to go lay down? It's because it's like, we don't have enough energy for you to keep doing all this. We need to fight this virus. We need to fight this bacteria. We need to fight this thing that is going on inside of you. So here's what we need to do. You need to go to sleep. Stop using up all that energy. We're going to go fight this bug. And so you just get really fatigued. When you're fighting something else that's going on, and I'm looking at this panel here that I'm going to be discussing here later today, with this person, and it was the only thing listed in her health history was fatigue. Yes, this person should be outrageously fatigued because their body is fighting so many different processes and in just dealing with an overwhelming lack of resources to fight with it. I mean, there was just malnutrition and anemias across the board. There's just nothing left. So fatigue is definitely a sign. Now, I'm going to tell you, I have never come across a case of somebody who has come down or been diagnosed with a major illness or a major thing that didn't have one of those, his skin, hair, nails, joints, and especially fatigue. They always say, well, yeah, I was a little tired, but, maybe it was stress at work or, I've been doing all of this. Fatigue was always one of those hallmarks. And here again, it's the fatigue that you just can't seem to catch up with. Like it's the fatigue that no sleep can cure. Even when you do get rest, it's just not enough. That's the fatigue we're worried about. It's not like, that one day last month, I just wasn't quite myself. You probably could have been fighting off a bug or something like that. That's relatively healthy to have that expression. But, day in, day out, that is just not normal. And especially if you're not recovering, on your days off, or if you don't have days off, that could be part of the problem too. That's where we really want to dive deeper. You really want to go and get a much more deep dive into what's going on. Now, again, I'm a fan of the biochemistry because problems will show up in your blood work way sooner than they will show up anywhere else. So I really love, again, using the blood work. There's other tests, but the blood is just so simple and it's so obvious. And I just love how black and white, um, I love how black and white that is and how comprehensive it is. Now, on top of that, let's go to a couple other ones. That unexplained weight gain. Unexplained weight gain. Now, definitely unexplained weight loss is a very, very serious sign. And if you are experiencing severe unexplained weight loss, you really need to see somebody right away and you need to get a full workup done. Any physician you go to, it doesn't matter what kind. If you say, I'm losing a ton of weight and I don't know why, they will do a very comprehensive workup on you. I can virtually guarantee that. If not, just go to another doctor. That's one of those hallmarks that like take note. But unexplained weight gain, that is one, it's part of a survival mechanism. So when your body perceives it to be under stress, one of the things it wants to do is hold on to fat. And it holds on to fat like a life preserver because your body is looking at you and it's looking at like, okay, we're in for a storm, right? We are in for a season. Things are not going well. She's not reversing this. She's not taking care of it. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to store up fat like nuts in a chipmunk's cheeks. We're going to store up a supply. And because fat is a great fuel source in an emergency. So we're going to, and we're especially, we love put it right around the middle, like a life preserver. We're going to put it right around her middle and we're just going to hold it there until she starts getting this thing under control, because your body doesn't know that we're in the 21st century and that where 150 years ago, if you got sick and you were alone, you kind of had to survive off of that fat while you recuperated. And if you didn't have enough fat, you died. Well, here's the thing. Unfortunately, we're in the 21st century and now we have we have this incredible support system and we have Uber Eats who will bring you food. So we're just in a different era than we were, but physiologically, our survival mechanisms don't understand that just yet. They have not caught up to home delivery food. So it builds up fat. It builds up this reservoir. And I will tell you, it is so resistant. This is where, now, especially women, I see it in men too, but especially because women are so much more attuned to 5, 10, 15 pounds. It feels like there's nothing you can do. It will not go away. And that really, really resistant weight that just will not come off, it can be a warning sign. And it most of the time is. It's a warning sign that there's something deeper going on that needs to be addressed. Now, that doesn't mean that you have this horrible pathological disease. It can be something as simple as just an increased malabsorption, but it'll be there. Another warning sign is unexplained anxiety. Now, I'm going to get briefly into this one. We're going to have to do another episode on unexplained anxiety. When I say unexplained anxiety, explained anxiety is pretty straightforward. Explained anxiety is like there's been trauma. There's been real serious issues and you need to work through those. That's not what I'm talking about. I am talking about the person who, when they'll sit down with me and they're like, for the most part, family's good, work's good, relationships, they're fine, finances, they're stable, but I am anxious all the time. Or I am in such a depression and I have no idea why. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the people who, for the most part, everybody has stress. Everybody has stress. Okay, but we're talking about the individual who's like, but it's under control. We're in good range. For the most part, we're fine. Like 20 years ago, people didn't walk into my office and say, I have anxiety. That wasn't even a word that was used. What happens now is because anxiety has become such a buzzword, it's something that's used so often. When people have this underlying, like, something's wrong feeling inside, what's happening today that didn't happen 20 years ago is people are now labeling that something's just not right feeling as anxiety. And rightfully so. I mean, it's an anxious feeling. But here's the problem is when you label it anxiety and define it as anxiety, well, that kind of hurts your problem solving ability to address it. Like, for instance, if you go into your traditional healthcare facility and you say, I have anxiety, well, your physician only has so many options for you. It's basically refer you to a therapist or give you medication. I mean, there's really not, they don't have many other outlets because that's how you labeled it. Now, if you said, I have this underlying sense, like I can just tell something's just not right, well, that opens up a few more doors for them to be able to explore what's going on. Not many. Again, average insurance covered visit is 5 to 7 minutes. So how much can you cover in 5 to 7? That's about what most people can get. But with all of that said, this unexplained anxiety, I like to refer to it as a distress signal. So why are you sensing these distress signals? Is it because of stress? Is it because of this mental component? Or is there something physiologically wrong that you're perceiving and just getting this, this internal sense? I think you'd be really, really shocked by how many individuals, once we address the drain on their resources, what is pulling all the vitamins and minerals and resources from their body, once we address that, you'd be shocked how many people say, yeah, it's gone. The anxiety, the depression, it's just not there. I just feel normal. And that's really the objective here. We're not supposed to necessarily feel this high all the time. It's just, I just feel normal. I feel fine. And that's essentially what we're looking for here. So skin, hair, nails, and joints, unexplained weight gain or weight loss, unexplained anxiety, fatigue. Now, most people, or let's put it this way, a big percentage of people who fall into these categories usually do have some kind of digestive issue. Digestion is a major factor in a lot of processes now, because where do we absorb our nutrients? Where do we absorb our resources? Where do we get our fuel? Our digestive tract. If your digestive tract isn't working, well, we're already starting. That's part of the process. So obviously digestive issues, history of digestive issues, those kind of things definitely fall into this category. So especially as you're going through, you're like, yeah, I was one of those kids who is on antibiotics all the time as a kid. And then I started having digestive issues in my early 20s, probably because of all the antibiotics and never, rebuilding the good gut microbiome. And so then I had digestive issues, and then, and then I started having these other problems. And now here I am in menopause and I'm falling apart. Hear that story all day long. So we do definitely see the digestive. The last thing, and again, I'm going to, you guys, because I'm already well into my time here, I'm going to hit on these briefly, but it's called the Unhealthy Triad. So if you already definitely seeing all of those. And if those have been going on for years, and now we're even into decades of fatigue and weight gain and all of those other things, we really do start to see the symptoms of the unhealthy triad. And the unhealthy triad is the reproductive organs, your gallbladder, and your thyroid. Reproductive organs, gallbladder, thyroid. Remember, the body prioritizes essential functions over non-essential functions. Well, once you've already demineralized your skin, hair, nails, and joints, what's next? Well, you can live without your reproductive organs. So we see, especially women, we see you name it, female reproductive organ issues, from extreme PMS to PCOS to endometriosis to miscarriages to very difficult pregnancies, inability, infertility. I mean, you name it. And it usually ends up at hysterectomy because it's just in the grand scheme of the food chain, heart, lungs, liver, they're the ones getting fed. Reproductive organs, non-essential. You do not have to have reproductive organs to survive. Your body knows this. So they just don't get the resources to function properly. It's that simple. If you're part of a major corporation and and there's budget restrictions, the non-essential programs just don't get the resources that they need to function the way that those programs were designed to function. The body operates the same way. So we see all kinds of problems. Unfortunately, traditional healthcare hasn't caught up to this very basic and it's obvious understanding. And so they just keep addressing like the symptoms, like, oh, you're having PCOS. Let's give you hormones. Let's give you birth control. Let's make that not look bad instead of what could be causing that and going to the root source. It's just not the way that's just not the standard of care. That's just not the way. That's not just the way we're trained. So you just keep throwing things at the symptom instead of getting to the root cause. When that doesn't usually get addressed and we start to see the gallbladder problems, just gallstones, gallbladder, all those pains, a lot of times the gallbladder, it just gets removed, which is unfortunate because then that starts a dangerous catch-22 downward spiral because the whole problem was you weren't getting enough resources. Now we took one of the key organs that helps you break down your food so you can have resources. And so now we really start to see the spiral after the gallbladder's been removed, because so rarely has somebody been told about how they need to have additional supplementation or digestive enzymes to make up for what the gallbladder used to do. I understand the gallbladder. Yes, you can remove them. Yes, and you can survive, but there are consequences. And ergo, one of the consequences is you no longer break down fat solubles the way you used to. A, D, E, K is the top of the list of things that are just chronically malabsorbed, pretty essential. So we see the gallbladder, and then it's so interesting. And then the thyroid. The thyroid starts because, again, can you live without a thyroid? Yes, you can. Do you want to? No. Your metabolism will never be the same without your thyroid, but you can live without it. And in an emergency state, your body will redirect nutrients from your thyroid to other places, other organs and systems. So while I know I need to be going into way more depth on thyroids and reproductive organs and all of that, and please, by all means, put in the comments at the bottom the things that you, because the issues and the different topics that you bring up, I'll hit those first as we're going through. And if you want to hear more on any of those between skin, hair, nails, joints, and how all of that factors in, I'm happy to. Just like I said, leave me comments, and send me messages. Let me know of these different topics, which ones you would love to get more into depth. And I'm happy to do so because this is just something that is so missing from our traditional healthcare system. And if you pay attention to these early warning signs, then you can prevent the big things, the big chronic issues, the really scary stuff that comes down the road. My number one objective with this podcast is, are you healthy? I ran into so many people who come and they're like, for the most part, I'm healthy. I'm only on 7 medications and I only have these 3 major diseases, but it's all under control. I'm healthy. Our definition of what's healthy is not healthy. For the most part, I even have type 2 diabetics who come in and their diabetes is out of control. But they're like, yeah, for the most part, I'm healthy. But here's the question is, but do you have vitality? And every time their answer is, oh, no, definitely don't. I don't have a ton of energy or, I don't feel great, but I'm healthy. pay attention to these subtle warning signs. And there are so many different ways. The ability to get access to this kind of information has never been more abundant. You can absolutely check us out on the website if you want more information about how we look at blood panels and the processes that we go through. There are people all over this nation and all over the world who are doing this kind of work, getting to the root cause and helping you develop the right plan using all natural resources to boost you back up, help you feel great, and help you live longer. I'm Dr. Jae Hitson, and this was the Longevity Lab. If anything in this episode resonated with you, or if you know someone struggling with fatigue, hair loss, joint pain, stubborn weight gain, or unexplained anxiety, don't keep this to yourself. Share this episode with them. You might just be saving a life. Too many people disregard these critical signs, unaware that their body is sending distress signals. The good news, these issues can be reversed, but only if they're addressed early. Help us spread the message so more people can live longer, healthier lives. And until next time, take care of yourself and your health.